You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey Days fans, it's Belinda, and we are going to talk today about why Xander Cook had no problem aiming a gun at Konstantin while he was holding Theresa Donovan so closely, strangling her, and Xander did not seem to care if she was collateral damage when he shot Konstantin with intent to kill. We are going to take a quick walk through Theresa's icky past with Xander to explain why he drew down when she was in the way. But first, please subscribe if you haven't. That button is right down there. All right, walk with me back in time, 7-8 years to 2016, I believe it was, on the NBC soap. So that was when Victor Kiriakis was punishing Xander, forcing him to work as a gardener on the grounds of the mansion. So obviously back then, Victor didn't seem to know that that was his son. But then again, Victor was perfectly capable of making a son of his doing something that awful as punishment. You know, he was a villain for the most part, and that's what made the character so great. Anyway, back in 2016, at that point, Theresa was not with Brady Black despite having given birth to their son, Tate Black, the year before. Brady was serious with someone else, and like usual, Theresa was desperate to have that hunk back in her life and was scheming to make it happen. This was back when Jen Lilly was in the role. So Theresa was hanging out at the Kiriakis mansion back in 2016. Xander comes in very frustrated, rips off his landscaper's shirt. So we've got him in a tank top looking all muscular. I think his muscles were actually bigger back then, if you can imagine. Anyway, he was complaining about being in debt, owing some money, the court coming after him. He was very upset. He'd had a crap day and he kind of vented about it. And she offered to make him feel better. She comes up, she's rubbing on him like a cat in heat. She grabs him in a kiss. She 100% initiated. And of course he responded. He's a red-blooded male and he was single. And then she starts saying, hold me tighter, hold me tighter, hold me tighter, making it clear, oh, I kind of want to play rough, right? So he kind of pushes her back on the sofa, a little rough, and she's, starting to open her blouse and all this. They're making out. She's all into it. And he pulls her blouse open. And then the moment comes she was waiting for, and poor Xander was clueless. Theresa heard Brady coming in the door of the mansion and starts going, get off me, you pig, let go. And for a second, Xander thought, okay, she's role playing. He's completely surprised, and he was on top of her on the couch because that's where she wanted him. At her invitation, at her initiation, just to be clear. She laid herself out, was welcoming it. She was setting him up from the moment he came in the room. So Brady Black comes in and screams, get off her. He yanks Xander away. Xander calls him a bloody idiot. And Brady replies by punching him upside the head in the face for all he's worth. Then he asked Theresa if Xander hurt her, and Theresa, the lying schemer she was, said, no, thank God you were here. She said she wants to call the cops on that psycho. And then Brady does call the cops, and he's just ending the call to the police as Xander comes to because Brady's punch knocked him out cold. And she says, thank God about the cops coming. And Xander immediately said that B, but he said the word, is lying. It was all her idea. She made the first move. She was all over me. 100% truth that he was speaking. But Theresa insisted it wasn't true. And Brady believed her, even though he knew who she was. And he knew her past string of past behaviors, lies, bad deeds, crimes, misdemeanors, all kinds of shady stuff. He tells Xander, shut up. And he said Xander got away with what he did to Eric and Nicole. Xander was no angel, but Brady vowed this time you're going to go to jail where you belong. The cops show up. Xander's arrested on charges of assault and attempted rape, and he's sent to Statesville prison where he met the lovely Clyde Weston and the awful Orpheus. Lovely, I'm being tongue-in-cheek. I do love James Reed, but Clyde's a monster. So Theresa's false allegations sent Xander to prison and were the primary reason he broke out of prison with Clyde and Orpheus. He shows up at the Kiriakis mansion on her wedding day to Brady to take revenge. The guy she ruined his life to get with. And Theresa admitted to Xander that she lied. Duh, he already knew that. But then she tried to blame it on Victor. Brady shows up, finds Xander choking her, very deservedly, if you ask a lot of people, and put a stop to it. Xander runs off, gets away. Xander was, to be fair, in his more dark criminal phase back then, but prior to that, he'd not done anything bad to Theresa that crosses my mind. He did later shoot Brady. Brady obviously survived. And then a couple years later, Xander winds up in Mexico selling blood diamonds to drug lord Mateo, aka El Fideo. And Xander was quite surprised to find Chloe Lane there and Theresa both being held by the drug lord. And despite hating Theresa and her horrible lies that sent him to prison, he helped her out of that scrape. He helped Theresa, and she got back to Salem. And then she went away for a few years, and now she's back. And she has been pure poison to him since her return to Salem. Theresa was such a schemer back in the day, she happily threw away Xander's freedom and sent him to prison just so she could have Brady back. I mean, really? Did Brady never figure out she lied about the attempted rape? I can't really recall whether Brady ever got clued in. I know Alex Kidiakis doesn't really have any idea just how unsavory Theresa's history is. She's a liar, a schemer, a recovered addict, which can't hold that part against her, but she's a blackmailer, an embezzler. She's an all-around real piece of work. And if you take all that into account, it's very easy to see why Xander didn't care if she was collateral damage when he took that kill shot at Konstantin. You know, she was willing to leave him rotting in prison indefinitely so that she could have the boyfriend she wanted, you know? But as Xander told everybody there, he's an excellent shot, and he was very determined to see Konstantin dead since the man planned to murder Maggie on her wedding day, and he loves Maggie. But of course, Brady and Alex seem to be under Theresa the schemer's spell. They jumped to her defense. They blabbed to Jada that Theresa could have been hurt. Didn't seem to appreciate at all that Xander removed the huge threat that was Konstantin. Then again, Alex doesn't seem to like Maggie that much. So, you know, I do not think Xander ever intended to shoot Theresa. He just didn't see her being held by Konstantin as a reason to let Konstantin live. He knew he could make the shot. And I totally get his anger. And boy, oh boy, when Xander finds out Theresa changed Victor's will to cut him out of it, illegitimize him as the heir, and give the money to Manho Alex, I mean, Xander might choke her again. And can you blame him? You know, maybe once the forging of the will is finally revealed, supposedly in late July, early August, we're still waiting on some more spoilers, then maybe those rose-colored glasses will slip off Alex and Brady's eyes. Yes, Theresa's no longer a druggie, but she's not a good girl now, not by a long shot. And of course, you know, that's one of the best things about Theresa Donovan is just how devilish that she is. I'm one of those soap watchers that loves a good villain, like Victor Kidiakis. I've always adored Xander. Nicole in her villain era was incredible. Theresa has always been so great to watch because she would stoop to almost any level to get what she wants, just as she is doing now again. So in case you forgot or weren't watching back then, that's why Xander wasn't too worried about Theresa getting between the bullet he was aiming at Konstantin, you know, and his gun. So can you blame him? I don't know. Drop your comments, subscribe if you haven't, and come back soon. And as always, this is Belinda from Soap Dirt, talking Days of Our Lives 7 days a week.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.